The City Council meeting of Medicine Hat City Council is called to order on December 15th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. We will begin with a moment for prayer and reflection. The City of Medicine Hat acknowledges that we live and work on treaty territory. The city pays respect to all Indigenous peoples and honors their past, present, and future. We recognize and respect their cultural heritages and relationships to the land. Next up is adoption of previous council meeting minutes of regular council meeting dated December 8th, 2025. Are there any errors or omissions that anyone would like to point out? Seeing none, we will, hearing no objections, council will adopt the minutes of the December 8th, 2025 regular council meeting as presented for the corporate record. Adoption of the agenda. Are there any additions or errors in the agenda? All right, seeing no objections, council adopts the agenda of the December 15th, 2025 regular city council meeting as presented. Any councillor announcements tonight? I believe Councillor Cox has one. Anyone else? All right, Councillor Cox, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just briefly, for the public to be aware that there has been an Electoral Boundaries Commission operating. They held public hearings in Medicine Hat back in June. They have released their decisions, and for Medicine Hat, there are to be no changes proposed with respect to the current electoral boundaries. They are going to change the names. So instead of Cypress Medicine Hat, it will be Medicine Hat Cypress and Medicine Hat Brooks. But otherwise, they are not proposing any changes. There is a second round of hearings, and we have, as a corporation of the City of Medicine Hat, reserved a time and a date to speak. It will be an online hearing, so they won't be traveling here and we won't be traveling there, but we do have a time on January 16th. And we are going to be discussing what representation we might want to make there, and if there are members of the public who have any ideas or thoughts in that, I invite them to forward them to me. I'm going to be coordinating the response, but you can forward them to any councillor for that matter. And you will be represented by your city at the January 16th hearing.
I am just waiting to see if there's any other councillor announcements. I would like to make an announcement that Councillor Varga looks very sharp in his Christmas suit. And I feel like we need to up our Christmas game, the rest of council. And a Christmas tie. I apologize, Councillor Reinish. Next up is the consent agenda. Would anyone like to pull any items from the consent agenda for discussion? Councillor Varga?
Please. I need to learn the process of how we do this again because we didn't do it back in our term last time. But number 8.2, I've got a few comments, and 8.8. And I don't know if it's worth my while to get into the police commission meeting minutes because it's October 15th, so it doesn't make sense to do that. I could just ask the question directly to whoever in the police commission that was there before, so I think I would stay away from that one. But 8.2 and 8.8, I think I got someone both, not 8.2, sorry, 8.3 and 8.8. The Development and Infrastructure Committee meeting.
All right, so we'll pull 8.3 and 8.8 for further discussion. Any other counselors would like to pull an item from the consent agenda? Seeing none, can I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda as amended?
So moved.
Thank you, Counselor Mohammed. Seconded by Counselor Cox. And we'll vote on adoption of the consent agenda as amended. That's unanimous. Counselor Varga, 8.3. Would you like to ask your questions?
Yeah, and I believe it's in the action items, so I got the number wrong, so it's, it would be the last one, 8.8, I believe. At the end of the action items, it says, council motion 2025-228, direct administration to proceed with preliminary design of the multi-use trail between Desert Bloom and Heron Crossing to a maximum cost of $70,000 to be funded out of operating reserves and to be completed by the end of Q1 2026. Have we done that? And if we have, I would love to see it, that we don't do it until the development is finished, just for those reasons of where do we put the trail? Is that a relative question, or?
Yeah, we can get an update. Counselor Mohammed, as chair, did you discuss this, or do you just want to refer to Managing Director Bohan?
I will refer to Mayor.
Okay.
Director Moore. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Clark. To Councillor Varga and Council, this item was discussed during committee, and in the interceding period after this motion was made by previous council, we determined that the amount required was going to be in excess of $70,000, and that the amount would be in the neighborhood of $84,000. We will be bringing forward a budget amendment for council's consideration, along with an in-depth description of the history and the background on the item and how we got there. So that'll be coming in Q1.
All right, Q1 2026. Go on.
Just to follow up, just wondering, is this the process that we need to follow, or can we delay it until more action is happening down there in Heron Crossing?
If I may, when Managing Director Bohan brings forward the budget amendment,
We can discuss it then.
we can discuss it
Okay.
then, and if we
Okay.
don't approve the budget amendment, then I imagine that it will be stalled. Thank you. Anything else, Councillor Varga? Okay. Can I have a motion to adopt item 8.3 and 8.8 of the agenda as presented?
So I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Seconder?
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Mohammed. And we'll vote on adopting items 8.3 and 8.8 of the agenda. That's unanimous. Next up, we have a public hearing. Oh, Councillor Young?
Yeah, thank you. Just a point of order before we go in. I know we did need to have a further discussion on the appointments of public members to advisory boards. We voted, but I do believe that we need to have further discussion on that quickly. If I can just get confirmation on that, but I do believe that in order to finalize that, we need to go into close shortly.
Yeah, so 10.1 is the council appointments of public members. So Councillor Young is quite right. At that time, we will make a motion to go into close. It should not take
Okay.
very long. We just have to confirm the votes, and we'll be right back in with
Okay.
the announcements.
Thank you, Mayor Clark.
Thank you, Councillor Young. So the public hearing for tonight is with respect to Bylaw 4864 to amend the electric utility bylaw. We will first hear from staff, from administration, who will provide a overview. I'm just going to take 1 second here to make sure I have this right. Apologize. All right. So, we are going to start with, I hereby open the public hearing regarding Bylaw 4864 to amend the electric utility bylaw. We're going to hear from administration to introduce the bylaw. And then we will have an opportunity to ask questions of administration. Following that, members of the public will have an opportunity to speak, including online if there's anyone online. We will first invite members of the public who are in support of the bylaw to speak, first in the chamber, and then if there's anyone online who wishes to speak. The second round of public speakers will be those who oppose the bylaw in the same order within the chamber and then online. And finally, we'll have a third round where anyone who has not been heard, that feels that they have not been heard, will have an opportunity to speak, first in the gallery and then online. Council may ask questions of the members of the public who come forward to speak, and may ask administration on any points raised by the public. And once that's completed, I will close the hearing. After the hearing is closed, members of the public will not be permitted to speak further to the bylaw. So with that, I will turn it over to Rochelle Pancoast, Managing Director Pancoast, for an introduction.
Thank you, Mayor Clark, and good evening, Council. Council has heard the presentation we're about to give before. It was heard as an introduction to the budget amendment process back on November 17th, but because a month has now passed, we thought it would be worthwhile to share it again to refresh Council and the public's memory as to what we are looking at. Before I turn it over to, the package can be found, the presentation can be found on page 156 of Council's package.
Thank you.
And before we turn to Ms. Gross for the presentation, which will cover both gas and electric utility rates, I would like to highlight two items. Firstly, this bylaw amendment does not yet take into account two outstanding motions that were determined across August 18th and September 29th. At the September 29th meeting, administration did note that we would be able to turn our attention to that after receiving some additional clarity in Q1, so that remains our intent with that work to continue, and those motions can be found on page 49 of Council's package. And then secondly, I'd just like to address some community chatter by offering a bit of extra clarity. You'll see emphasized in our presentation that City Council is the regulator of our rates. However, we choose to follow in principle the allowable return on capital that is set by the AUC, but that is Council's choice as the city regulator. We've opted to do that historically simply because that's a defensible mechanism to make sure that we're not overcharging our ratepayers and that we're not abusing our exemption under the Electric Utilities Act. So there seemed to be some confusion about that, so I wanted to make sure Council was clear on that distinction. And with that, I will turn it over to Ms. Gross.
Thank you, Managing Director Pancoast. Ms. Gross.
Good evening, Council and members of the public. I'm here with you today to present the rate-based utilities capital and operating budgets, and more appropriately, the associated utility bylaws related to electric and gas distribution. So on tonight's agenda, we are going to do a quick overview of just what rate-based utilities are, a review of the operating and capital budgets pertaining to gas and electric distribution, and discuss the applicable utility rates for electric and gas, how they relate to the piece of the organizational pie, and the recommended bylaws associated with them. So rate-based utilities, Rate-based utilities. So these are rate-supported areas of operation. These are not funded by municipal taxes. In particular, UDS, or the utility distribution systems, are the electric distribution and the gas distribution business units. On the environmental side, we have water, sewer, and solid waste. Now, for note here, the 2-year operating and capital budgets for 2025 and 2026 were approved last year for both UDS and EU. EU subsequently set utility rates for the 2 years, 2025 and 26. However, electric and gas utility rates were only set for the 1 year, 2025. The 2026 budget amendments are proposed to reflect new or improved information to more accurately forecast 2026 actuals. Understanding utility rates. Utility rates pay for building, maintaining, administering, operating, and replacing utility infrastructure and related services. Utility rates are calculated based on regulated rate design principles to achieve a revenue-to-cost ratio equal to 1. The rate design model allows recovery of costs through time and a regulated return on invested capital. UDS does have a focus on cost containment to minimize costs to the ratepayer, and rate increases are typically driven by inflation, aging infrastructure replacement, or unexpected changes in consumption and rate-based demand. Regulated utility rates. Why are rates regulated? Well, the industry is a natural monopoly, and it's designed that way to protect customers. The AUC regulates gas and electric distribution rates in other parts of the province. It wouldn't make logical, economic, nor environmental sense to install multiple power lines or gas distribution lines to deliver energy to customers. Therefore, there are rules and regulations in place to calculate utility rates to protect customers. In Alberta, the AUC regulates these rates in defined service territories for utility companies. For example, if you lived in Calgary, your electric distribution provider is ENMAX, and you don't have a choice. ENMAX submits utility rate applications to the AUC for annual approval. In Medicine Hat, however, we follow AUC rate-making principles by design. However, City Council is our regulator. The key objectives of determining utility rates and our rate-making process. Number one is revenue requirement. The city believes that each utility needs to be financially sustainable on its own. Equity, or also known as cost causation, pertains to each customer should pay their fair share for the cost to provide the service. Economic efficiency, ensuring the utility is investing in assets that benefit the community and utility customers that we serve. Lastly, ease of understanding and administrative effort. This is a balancing act to ensure that customers understand what they're paying for and the effort required to administer a complex billing system. We're mindful that the city's utility bills often represent more than one utility, and in most cases are displaying 5 utilities on a 2-page bill. We aim to balance the customer's need for details, yet not overcomplicate the billing and administrative process so the utility rates are easy to understand and administer. To that point, our corporate communications team has developed a lot of great information online to assist customers in better understanding their utility bills, in particular, the Understanding Your Utility Bill on the city website. There are additional information about each line item on your utility bill as far as and in addition to understanding the differences between, say, your fixed rates, variable rates, and commodity charges. A common analogy we use to help understand utility rates, and in particular differentiate utility rates from, say, commodity rates, is to reference the cost of owning and operating a car. Like utility rates, there's fixed charges to operating a car, such as purchase price, insurance, registration, as well as variable costs relating to owning a car, such as the maintenance, tires, fluids, etc., all depending on your usage. Lastly, commodity charges can be compared to simply the cost of fuel. In summary, there's more cost to operating a vehicle than simply the fuel alone. Utility rates are required to ensure that customers have safe, reliable, and sustainable energy available to them at any moment of the day and every day of the year. To getting into the numbers, so the 2025-2026 operating budgets were developed with an emphasis on affordability, while ensuring the short and long-term financial sustainability of each utility. While the 2026 operating capital budgets were approved last year, and most notably the amendments approved last week, the next few slides will review how these amendments impact the rate-setting model and what we use to derive the utility rates. High-level customer impact. So before we get too deep into the numbers in particular, the bird's eye view of just what these utility rates mean at the residential, commercial, and large commercial customer level relates to a monthly increase for an average residential customer and an average commercial customer of roughly 3% a month. A large commercial customer will see an increase of roughly 4% per month. Now, these are all going to be different depending on that customer's individual usage. The operating budget, and in particular the budget amendments for 2026 for electric distribution are shown here. The net change from previously approved budget is minimal. As shown above. This is not to be confused with the year-over-year change from 2025 to 2026 that was presented earlier. In summary, the 2026 original budget was predicting a 4% increase in electric utility rates. The trivial net reduction in revenue requirement is the result of some offsetting capital budget assessment assumptions, such as an increase in the capital asset rate base due to some projected completion of prior capital projects and significant capital expenditures, offset by some net book value adjustments and a lower AUC regulated return on equity. As shown here, there's no amendments made to base operating expenses. On the gas distribution side, the 2026 original budget was projecting a 4% increase in gas utility rates, which is now reduced to a 2% increase from 2025. This reduction in base operating expense reflected is due to the transportation contract mitigation savings of roughly $250,000 based on recent trends, and the net reduction overall is a result of a lower AUC regulated return on equity and, again, some capital net book value adjustments.
Can I have a quick technical timeout? Are you doing, so we have two public hearings. One is the gas utility bylaw that is coming next, and one is the electric utility bylaw. Are you doing one presentation for both?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, all right, thank you.
To review the capital budget amendments for 2026 outlines the sustaining capital requests for each utility. Sustaining capital requests are for the replacement of aging assets and infrastructure. Oops, my apologies. There are no capital amendment requests for gas distribution, but there are for electric distribution as shown above. In particular, the $16 million additional capital required for the Substation 11 project. The new substation is required to accommodate the growth and increasing electrical needs in the southwest area of the city. The original $24 million budget was approved by council as part of the 2022-2023 UDS business plan, which was approved prior to an earlier regulatory permit application process that was not successful. The initial application to the AUC for approval was denied in July 2023, and the process of site reselection began. AUC approval was recently obtained in April 2025, with a revised in-service date projected to be April of 2027. Additional costs in the amount of $16 million are expected due to the revised siting location, AUC compliance requirements, land acquisition, and most notably inflation relating to increased material and construction costs, tariff exposure, and additional electrical distribution feeder main extensions. This budget amendment was mentioned last year as a pending and potential in-year budget request, but at that time, an accurate assessment of just what that amount would be was still somewhat unknown. Getting into the utility rates. So the prior slides referenced the revenue requirement inputs that we use to derive the capital, or that we use to derive the utility rates for this 2026 budget cycle. The monthly utility bill impact to the average residential customer is highlighted here, with the general assumptions of roughly 625 kilowatt hours a month, and a Class A customer, 8 GJs a month on average. As you can see here, the overall impact to that resident is roughly 3% increase per month. Although the municipal consent and access fee shown here is included on the utility bill, it is a fee charged and collected by the municipality for the exclusive rights to use the land for infrastructure. The MCAF budget increase of 3% is a key municipal budget assumption. The MCAF rates are calculated based on a percentage of the distribution charges. So as MCAF percentages are being held flat from 2025, as the municipal budget assumption of 3% does mirror the utilities distribution increase in revenue requirement. At the commercial level, the average commercial customer shown here will see a total increase of roughly 3% per month. Demand and on the electric side, electric consumption, demand, and gas consumption assumptions shown above. And the monthly utility impact for an average large commercial customer is shown here. As you can see, there's a greater increase of roughly 4% increase. That is largely due to their increased consumption and demand, sorry. Now, how do we compare? How does Medicine Hat compare to other jurisdictions within the province? So for an average resident, using those assumptions we used before, you can see here that Medicine Hat, although we are projecting roughly a 3% increase from 2025. We are still lower than the average of other municipalities within the province. That relates to roughly $72 a month of savings. The key takeaway here is that although there is an increase in rates, there is still the Medicine Hat advantage on the distribution side and our utility rates pertaining to gas and electric and MCAF impacts. Note that these other jurisdictions shown here are their 2025 rates. 2026 rates aren't fully flushed through the system yet and approved, so those rates will be updated and reviewed in the new year when they do come available. On the commodity side, gas and electric commodity rates can also be referred to as the energy rate on your utility bill. Commodity rate is separate from the distribution rates and is set based on a different methodology. Remembering our analogy, commodity rates are like the cost of fuel for operating a vehicle. Back in 2024, the city implemented a single interim rate for both natural gas and electricity. The creation of a best-in-market electric rate for residential, small and medium commercial and farm customers was the result and has been the default rate since then. The best-in-market rate is based on a 12-month volume-weighted average wholesale market forecast with a defined floor of 7 cents per kilowatt hour and a ceiling of 11 cents per kilowatt hour. The natural gas commodity rate was also changed to be based on the city's monthly weighted average cost to buy natural gas. For 2026, we are proposing the commodity rate setting methodology to remain as status quo, meaning our single commodity rate for both natural gas and electricity will continue. To elaborate on the justification for remaining status quo, we will walk through some market comparisons on the commodity rate side. So on the electric side, the rate of last resort shown here, or roller, if you will, these are non-contract rates. The regulated providers, Direct, NMAX, EPCOR, are required to provide customers with a non-contract option or a default option, if you will. The comparison shown in the graph is a representation of an all-in apples-to-apples comparison when you consider the cost of the energy and the cost and the impact of the admin rate tied to that energy rate. As you can see, Medicine Hat's current pricing methodology is roughly 7.5 cents cheaper than the average of the current roller rates. Further on the market comparison side, these are a snapshot of the current contract rates. So again, from your major market competitors, Direct, EPCOR, and NMAX, these are their current fixed rate offerings, 1 year and 2 year fixed rate offerings. Now I realize the slide says October, but the market hasn't shifted too terribly much since then, so these rates really do still apply. As you can see, again, it's an all-in true apples-to-apples comparison of an energy rate tied with an admin rate. And Medicine Hat's current methodology is roughly 3.5 cents cheaper than the average 1 year fixed rate offerings and the 2 year fixed rate offerings. This market comparison highlights the importance of considering additional admin, transaction, and trading fees that are often applied to other retailers, and most importantly, highlighting the commodity savings that our customers achieve through our current commodity rate setting methodology. Not only are they saving $72 a month on distribution, but they are saving also roughly 3 cents a kilowatt hour on the commodity. Gas commodity market comparison. These are your natural gas regulated providers, Direct, Apex. They must, similar to on the electric side, they must provide a non-contract or default rate for their customers. This rate is known as the RRO, or Regulated Rate Offer, and it is regulated by the AUC. It's set monthly based on cost recovery of monthly purchases, which is similar to the city's rate setting methodology. The city's natural gas rate changes monthly and is the default rate for all customers. No contract is required. This market comparison is comparing the average year-to-date commodity price of the regulated providers, including their respective admin fees, to Medicine Hat's 2025 average commodity rate to date, plus our admin fee. Again, highlighting the importance of comparing apples to apples when comparing commodity rates and the savings that Medicine Hat residents are realizing on their gas commodity. In conclusion, Council has approved the 2026 UDS electric distribution operating and capital budget amendments, as well as the 2026 UDS gas distribution operating and capital budget amendments by vote, unanimous vote on December 8th, 2026. Whoops. My apologies. I don't know what happened there. Sorry.
I believe the recommendation is to give second and third reading of the rate-based electric and utility bylaws.
That is true, yes.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. Now council will have an opportunity to ask questions. We'll save debate and opinion until after the public hearing is closed. And as a reminder, this particular public hearing is just on the electric utility bylaw. Are there any questions for administration at this time? Seeing no questions, thank you very much. We'll now hear from the city clerk regarding the notification report.
Thank you, Mayor Clark. So bylaw 4864 to amend electric utility bylaw 2244 to repeal and replace schedules A and B to amend certain rates, charges, and fees was published in the Medicine Hat News on Saturday, November 29th and Saturday, December 6th, 2025. The bylaw received first reading, as we know, on November 17th. No written submissions were received by the deadline, but we did receive 2 late submissions later this week, or earlier this week, sorry.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone in the gallery who wishes to speak in support of the electric utility bylaw, bylaw number 4876? We don't have anyone online right now. Ordinarily, if you were online, you could use the raise hand function to get on the speakers list. For a second time, if there's anyone in the gallery who wishes to speak for this bylaw, please come down to the podium. Third and final time, if there is anyone here in the gallery who wishes to speak in support of the bylaw, please come down to the podium. All right, if there's anyone in the gallery who wishes to speak against the bylaw, please come down to the podium. I will ask that you sign in on the sign-in sheet and state your first and last name for the record. We do all know who he is, yes. You will have 5 minutes to speak, and they're not including questions, and a timer will come up for you. Go ahead.
Okay. Am I on the mic right now? Okay, I am.
Yes.
I can hear my voice. Okay, so welcome, Mayor and City Councilors. I am Mike Reed, if you don't remember me from earlier, but yes, and I am here on behalf of the Downtown Voice Medicine Hat, a collective representing small and locally owned businesses across our city's core and beyond. While I will reference one member business, Yoga Revolution, just for the sake of simplicity, and especially since I have those stats, this issue extends far beyond a single operation and affects hundreds of small businesses citywide, regardless of location or industry. The core issue. Throughout the recent municipal election, one message was heard repeatedly from the business community. It is becoming increasingly difficult to operate a small business in Medicine Hat. The perception, fair or not, is that our policies often signal that the city is not fully open for business. The way commercial electricity demand charges and classifications are currently applied is a clear example of an unintended policy outcome that creates financial strain, discourages investment, and adds unnecessary complexity for small operators. And I will refer to the presentation tonight. One of the second point that was brought in the presentation was number 2 of equity and cost causation. So a real-world example, Yoga Revolution, is a small yoga studio employing 2 to 5 staff, operating limited hours, and consuming electricity at levels consistent with a small commercial business. So recent usage data that I've pulled, August in kilowatt hours, August to September was 2,607. September to October was 2,308, and October to November, 2,685. These numbers reflect modest, predictable usage. However, brief and unavoidable demand spikes, often caused by HVAC startup cycles, resulted in the following peak demand. So 31.34 kVA, 27.67 kVA, and 20.43 kVA. So despite being momentary, these spikes trigger an automatic monthly demand charges. So those charges, Yoga Revolution paid $203 that first month, $179 the next, $130 the next month. So in practical terms, 20 to 30% of the total electricity bill each month was made up of demand charges alone, even though overall energy use remained low. And keep in mind, this is a small studio that employs 2 to 5 people, isn't open all the time. but yet we're considered mid-commercial size. So this is not reflective of a mid-sized commercial operation, yet that is how the business is being billed. So an important classification concern. I would also like to note an issue that highlights why classification matters. Under the current structure, large commercial customers actually face lower demand rates and service charges than medium commercial customers. For most true small businesses, which should be someone like Yoga Revolution or the many other businesses as part of the Downtown Voice, this distinction should be irrelevant. However, when small businesses are being classified as medium commercial due solely to short, momentary demand spikes, it becomes highly relevant. In effect, small businesses can end up paying higher rates than significantly larger commercial users, not because of sustained consumption, but because of how demand is measured and categorized. This raises legitimate questions about fairness, proportionality, and alignment with economic development goals. How Medicine Hat compares? Using publicly available municipal rate structures, in Lethbridge, the same August to September peak would have resulted in a demand charge of approximately $89, compared to $203 in Medicine Hat. Yet, another reason maybe I should have taken my business to Lethbridge. I'll just leave it there. Other municipalities, including Red Deer and Grand Prairie, structure commercial billing in ways that do not disproportionately penalize small operators for short duration demand spikes. Medicine Hat's current methodology places a significantly heavier burden on small businesses, the very group that economic development strategies aim to support. So the broader economic implications, this issue is not isolated. It affects downtown storefronts, service-based businesses, light commercial operators, home-based businesses transitioning into physical spaces. The result is a growing and ongoing perception that city systems create unnecessary red tape, small businesses are undervalued, operating costs are unpredictable and difficult to manage. Medicine Hat is harder, not easier, to do business in. At a time when council is focused on revitalization, diversification, and attracting new investment, this rate structure undermines those objectives. So our request, on behalf of the Downtown Voice and the small business community, we respectfully request, first, an administrative review of commercial classifications, particularly where short-term demand spikes push low-consumption businesses into inappropriate rate categories. 2, consideration of alternative small business rate structures such as a true small commercial tier, a qualifying KWH-only option, averaging or smoothing of brief demand spikes, reasonable caps or thresholds that reflect real operational use. And third, direct engagement with the business community. We invite utilities and city administrators to meet with the Downtown Voice representatives to collaboratively explore solutions that align utility policy with economic development objectives. So in closing, Downtown Voice is committed to building a strong, resilient local economy. Addressing this issue is a practical and achievable step the city can take to reduce red tape, support entrepreneurship, and demonstrate that Medicine Hat values its small businesses.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate your time and everything else. I know I could have gone on, but that was good for me.
If you wouldn't mind staying up there in case there's any questions for Mr. Reid from council?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't see any. Thank you very much for your presentation, and I believe there were 2 other gentlemen who wanted to speak. Thank you very much.
Thank
so, Wes, if you want to just sign in and state your name for the record. You will have 5 minutes to speak.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Good evening, Your Worship, members of council and city staff and gallery. My name is Wesley Pratt, and I'm the acting chair of the Medicine Hat United Ratepayers Association. I'm here this evening to give voice to our members and the ratepayers of medicine of this great city, and to speak in opposition of the proposed utility rate amendments referenced in bylaws 4864 and 4865. These amendments raise 2 very important concerns for us. 1, affordability, and 2, the City of Medicine Hat's budget practices. While Medicine Hat is regarded as Alberta's most affordable city, the economic pressures exerted by the markets, combined with our national, provincial, and local government's actions, are creating a real affordability crisis for many of our residents. Published city statistics indicate that 30% of low-income households in our city face severe housing affordability issues, and over 31% are having difficulty meeting their basic core living needs. That is food, water, clothing, and shelter. And 19% are statistically listed as living in poverty. In our city, rental costs have increased by 27% between 21 and 2025. 20% of the households are living in housing that is unaffordable, unsuitable, and inadequate. In our single-parent households, 50% of the children are considered as living in poverty. In two-parent households, that statistic is 1 in 10. And this poverty also means that a number of families needing feeding assistance has also increased. And now the programs are feeding between 500 and 700 children each day. We've also seen a rise, a significant continual increase in food bank use year over year. An expected 21.8% we saw between 24 and 2025 alone. In 2019, the food bank served a mere 900 people in 2020. In 2025, it is expected to service over 4,000. Affordability is also negatively impacting and affecting the citizens in our city. The Viner Center reports seeing increasing demand and delivery numbers for their senior Meals on Wheels support program. That in itself should be raising alarm bells, but of greater concern is that the number of subsidized clients is also seeing a significant increase. The bottom line and the message would be, living costs for many are becoming unaffordable in the most affordable city in Alberta. This brings me to my second point, budgets. My grandpa always told me, always live within your means and never root and toot till the well runs dry, and never ever spend more than you earn. And by earn, he did not mean using credit card as a backstop. The economic pressures and today's living costs have meant each and every one of us has, regardless of income, had to tighten our belts, forego our wants in favor of our bottom line needs, and spend less more wisely. Sadly, it would seem that the basic rule of living within your means seems to be lost in the City of Medicine Hat's Energy, Land, and Environment Department's budget practices. The Medicine Hat United Ratepayers Association was dismayed to learn at the last council meeting that this department was not included in the hunt for operational savings. It's evident in these proposed utility rate amendments that rather than curtailing operating budgets in response to the very uncertain economic outlook facing Canada, and to being a department that is nimble and responsive, they appear fixated on a business-as-usual model and path. Rather than doing what each of us has had to do, face the economic realities, tighten our belts, and drastically cut back our spending, in spite of all the evidence, all the stats, and all the indicators staring them in the face, to we on the outside, the ones footing the bill, it appears that it is an embedded culture of expected dependency and fallback on the taxpayer and ratepayer credit card to fund any budget shortfalls. We as tax and ratepayers recognize that the city needs to cover the cost of energy purchased and provided to keep the lights on and heat our homes. We also understand that these costs need to be covered and that some added profit needs to be factored in to continue providing the services. But we have a very difficult time, in understanding is, if the department is operating on fiscally prudent budgets, why the need for the additional fees, or you could call them taxes, like the MCAF, the green energy and administration fees? The rate increases in these amendments, while actuarially seeming small, have a potential to be the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back.
Okay, your time is up. Do you have a few
I
closing?
have just 2 more lines here.
Okay,
Not
perfect.
even a page. The decider between warmth and food. In light of the many economic pressures and financial realities facing the rate and taxpayers, Mura is respectively asking Council, as our recently elected watchdog and shareholder representative to the city, to restore common sense budgets and management by taking the following actions. Number one, do not approve these amendments under bylaws 4864 and 4865. And secondly, send the Energy Department, Land and Environment Department back to the drawing board to trim their budget, to sharpen their pencils, and make the necessary internal cost savings and new project reviews and cuts, and bring back amendments that eliminate the dependency on the added MCAF, green energy, and admin fees that add as an increase to an already overloaded populace. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for Mr. Pratt from council? Seeing none.
Thank you, folks.
Any further speakers against? Go ahead. In opposition? Okay. For a third and final time, if there's anyone in the gallery who wishes to speak against bylaw 4864 to amend the electric utility bylaw, please come down to the podium. Seeing none, if there is anyone in the gallery who feels they have not had an opportunity to be heard and wishes to be heard, please come to the podium. Thank you. If you wouldn't mind signing in and stating your name for the record, you will have 5 minutes to speak.
May I have 6 like the others did? Just kidding, Mayor Clark.
Okay, sorry.
Hi, my name is Caleb Orch, and since the last time I spoke and since the election, something's been going through my head on repeat for months now. You can be right or you can be effective. And this was an issue I spoke about extensively during the election, and it's not lost on me that I am speaking to the vast majority of effective politicians in Medicine Hat right now, so I really hope that saying doesn't go both ways. I'm not here to speak for or against this bylaw in particular. I don't appreciate in some ways Murray using my name in vain. I am one of the city's people who lives on AISH. I'm kept below the poverty line by the province because I can't work and I live on assistance. If I remain on the new ADAP program that has just passed through the province in January 2028, they will reduce my benefit by $200. I will certainly lose my apartment and have to move in with friends. That's me 18 months from now. This particular bylaw is irrelevant. I can't afford to have my own apartment anyway. And the people who voted for Danielle Smith, one of her campaign promises was 13.5-cent electricity for one winter. Medicine Hat, from this example, is one of the only generation providers providing that or less. So as far as I'm concerned, you could raise the cap by 2.5 cents. You'd still be keeping the Premier's promise, even though for other reasons she's facing a little political heat right now. Personally, for me, I don't see getting focused on this particular piece of legislation on its own merits as being enough. As council members, you have to wear both hats for the city and the power company. And right now, our power utility is subsidizing what would be an increase to our property taxes. It has to pay for its own repairs. The need for new electrical generation, the ability to sell more power on the grid is a good thing, but that requires money for investment that comes from the revenue we generate from our electrical utility. And if we want to get rid of the MCAF, we would have to raise property taxes. I've been repeating this a bunch. Please check my math. Please tell me I'm wrong. But because of exponential growth, 5.6% a year for 10 years is a 72% overall increase to property taxes. I'm losing my apartment either way. I don't care. We're underwater in terms of what it actually costs to pay for things in Medicine Hat. And we recently built a substation out of reserves because we're near the AUC limit for debt that we're charging. That sounds like a debt spiral to me. That sounds like we're in a financially unsustainable position. Doing the minimum amount to kick the ball down the road for another couple of years or another term is not enough. We need to start paying down those debts. We need to invest in this city. We need to grow. We need to have a successful company. We need to charge what it costs to live here. And yes, Medicine Hat is built on affordability, but it does not matter in isolation what council does. Don't get distracted by the shell game. You're building an overall strategy here. You're the high-level deciders for this city, and this is one element of your broader strategy of affordability. This is one element of your broader strategy of city revenues, and this is one element of the fact that it is getting harder to find debt. It is getting harder to afford to push this problem onto future generations. The birth rate in Medicine Hat is declining. We're relying more and more on immigration to meet our needs. And there are groups of people who, let's face it, Wexit is a thing. And that's in part over immigration. That's part over things changing. Medicine Hat is at a crossroads. You're making a critical decision. Charge what it costs. I know I'm going to have to pay it, and I am fine with it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Ward? Okay, seeing none. For, I think, a final time, I can't remember if I did second, but you have one last chance if you wish to speak in relation to bylaw 4864 to amend the electric utility bylaw and do not feel you have had an opportunity to do so, please come down to the podium. All right. Any final questions from council? Councillor Cox.
I have a question for administration, please. With respect to utility bill impact, you gave us a residential, a commercial, and a large commercial example for both electric and gas rates. But within both the commercial and large commercial, there are further sub-stratifications. So this is an average. Okay, I just wanted to confirm my understanding of that. Thank you.
Yes.
I don't see any further questions, so I hereby close the public hearing in relation to bylaw 4864 to amend the electric utility bylaw at 7:27 p.m. Next is business arising, but as the city clerk mentioned, there were a couple of late submissions. If anyone wishes to make a motion to accept the late submissions received to be included in the official corporate record, now is the time to do so. Councillor Clugston? Are you making the motion?
Yes, sorry.
Okay.
I move that council accepts the late submissions received regarding the public hearing to be included in the official corporate record.
And Councillor Cox seconds that motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, we will vote on the motion to accept the late submissions to be included in the corporate record. And that's unanimous. So business arising from the hearing for bylaw 4864. This bylaw received first reading on November 17th, 2025, so it is up for second reading.
I move the council give second reading to bylaw 4864.
Can you say it into the mic, just so that it records?
And I'll second that.
Thank you very much. Councillor Cox seconds it. Is there any discussion regarding the bylaw? Councillor Clugston.
I just wanted to say to the, well, there were three speakers, almost four, that I appreciate all your comments. Mr. Reid, it doesn't fall on deaf ears, your comments. We're actually going to be dealing with this at committee this Thursday. I know it's probably not as quickly as you'd hoped, but there are many, many unintended consequences of changing budgets on the fly. Mr. Pratt, yeah, very, very encompassing comments. Of course, dealing with all three levels of government, and we appreciate them. And Mr. Orb, I actually really did appreciate your comments. Thank you very much, and they didn't go unheard.
Okay, don't see any further speakers. I will just comment on the affordability crisis that we are in. I am extremely troubled by the increase in poverty rates, child poverty rates, and the disparity, the income disparity and wealth disparity, and the elimination almost of the middle class. These issues, as has been stated, are all levels of government, but also international, as we live in a global economy. I understand that it's a complex issue to solve. I am not inclined to solve it with this bylaw. We do have to live within our means, and we do have to pay for the services we provide. I recognize that, there's always the option for cost cutting, and I think that will be something that we look into over the next few years as a city. However, I am cognizant of the fact that we do need to have the money to operate our city and operate our services. We may decide to have reduced services, but at this time, living within our means includes having the revenue to live within our means. And I feel heartened that we do have a cap, a ceiling and a floor on our utility rate, on our electric utility rate, and we are using a best-in-market approach. But we all, I think I can speak for council that it is very, very troubling to hear the numbers that you put forward with respect to the poverty rates. And certainly, I think this council and hopefully the other levels of government are very keyed in on this issue, because it seems only to be getting worse and not better. Councillor Young.
Thank you. Yeah, just to follow up on that, first to the first speaker, Mr. Reid. I appreciate that you brought your yoga business here to Medicine Hat as someone who uses that yoga business. I really do appreciate that. And I know all the work that's went into setting that up to be successful. And so I appreciate Councillor Clugston's remarks. We will be having further discussion on that, because at the end of the day, we do not want to be pushing people away for anything. Obviously, we have to figure out how to do this right. But, and so, yeah, I'm thankful that will follow up. But thank you so much for bringing that forward. To Mr. Pratt, again, I really appreciate the perspective. The challenge that I have is if we go to slide 172, and I just want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly, and because everything Mr. Pratt said in terms of the challenges that we face further to Mayor Clark, I completely agree with. We need to. These numbers are really challenging, and we don't want to just sit here as council and be like, oh, that doesn't matter. Of course, that matters. It's a huge impact. But specifically to utilities, I don't know if we can pull slide 172 up, can we? No?
Are you talking about the monthly utility bill impact?
Yeah, residential monthly utility bill, how do we compare?
I think it's slide 17.
Oh, is it?
Nope.
It's 173 in our pack. I think if we just keep going.
Slide 18.
And I'm bringing this up truly because I've brought this up before, but I want to make sure I understand this. So we're looking at a 3% increase, and I don't know what inflation is right now. I don't know how that specifically relates to inflation, if someone can clarify that for me. But our number is 108. On average, we are $72 a month lower on average than other municipalities in Alberta. And based on every metric with our gas and electricity, we're significantly, not just a little bit, not just a tiny bit, significantly lower than anywhere else in the province. Am I understanding this correctly? So.
Sorry. Do you want Managing Director Pancoast? to respond, or was it rhetorical?
No,
Okay.
I want to make sure I'm correct, because I'm not trying, I don't want to belabor the point. I just want to make sure I understand.
Through the mayor to Councillor Young, we have indicated the information that you see on the screen. That is based on an average consumer with the information noted at the top. Average consumer of 625 kilowatt hours per month and 8 gigajoules of gas per month. So on average, that utility bill for a residential customer at a monthly level is correct for the knowledge that we have today.
Okay. And I'm sure this changes slightly. But as we can see, I feel like we're doing good. I feel like to be able to say that, hey, look at us in all the metrics when it comes to gas and electricity, we're significantly lower. It's not like we're third highest, fourth highest. We are significantly lower than everybody. And I recognize that people want to get rid of the MCAF fee, but even if you look at the MCAF fee, it is significantly smaller than everywhere else. The next closest is $17 in Calgary. After that, we have $27 in Grand Prairie. It's double. So again, I'm not I'm not trying to contradict. I just want to say, like, sometimes when these things are being presented to us, they're being presented in a way that, like, the city is running wild and we're absolutely crazy. And it's like, well, no, look at the picture. I'm sorry, unless I'm seeing something different, this is something to be celebrated. And so I think this is a good story, right? I do, to put on this, but that being said, that doesn't negate the fact that we have to continue to challenge, continue to save money, continue to see where we can get better, because just because we're doing really good doesn't mean we can't do great. So I think we can't get complacent, and I think another thing that I think would be healthy to look at is just where do our other utilities stack up? Because it's great that we have these utilities that are strong, but what does that mean for water and other things? And so anyways, I just say, I think we have a great story. We need to continue to look at it, but I don't see anything in this data showing us that we're like a freight train running off the tracks, unless someone can show me something else.
Thank you, Councillor Young. Councillor Mohammed.
Thank you so much for the presentation, and thank you for all the comments and concerns. As I was sitting here and looking at it, I see us looking at two things, and I think someone has said it, just want to echo that, we do have a business decision to make here so that we can continue to operate the business side of what we do as a city. I also heard the concern about affordability, and I think that, those are huge concerns that we need to pay attention to. Especially cost saving in other aspects of our operations. I can guarantee the public that council is having these discussions, and we are, it's not something that we're gonna hide from you. We talk about that. I see it as two separate things. Trying to have a conversation on how we operate business today, and we wanna make sure that keeps going, and somebody has said it, that's paying some of our bills and minimizing some of our taxes. So we have to make sure we're making decisions that are right for today. But when it comes to cost savings, we're having that conversations, and you will hear from us. And that's something that council is having a conversation around. I have a quick question for administration. So I guess maybe explain to the public what happens if we didn't pass this rate today? What's going to happen in 2026?
Thank you for the question, and I may get some help from Dr. Tuksher, but essentially, if we do not pass the utility rates as proposed today, the 2025 rates would continue. Because the amended budget for utilities has been passed, that would mean that we would have a revenue variance through 2026 with an under collection of revenue against the approved costs. And that would create a shortfall in the business. But I'll perhaps ask Director Tuksher to provide additional commentary.
Yeah, just the only thing I would add is the estimated value of that is about an under collection of about $1.5 million is a rough estimate based on just leaving 2025 rates in place.
Thank you, Councillor Mohammed. Do you have a follow-up? Okay, thank you very much. Any final speakers? Okay, seeing none, we'll vote on second reading of bylaw 4864. That's unanimous. This bylaw is now eligible for third and final reading.
I move that council give third and final reading to bylaw 4864 to amend the electric utility bylaw.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Hellman. Any discussion or comments? Seeing none, we'll vote on third and final reading of bylaw 4864 to amend the electric utility bylaw. That is unanimous. The next item on our agenda is also a public hearing. We've received the presentation on it already, but I will now call to order at 7:40 p.m. the public hearing regarding bylaw 4865 to amend the gas utility bylaw. I'm gonna put it to you, Managing Director Pancoast, if you have any introductory remarks.
Thank you, Mayor Clark. I'll defer to the prior comments we shared, and as well as the prior presentation.
All right, City Clerk, notification report.
Thank you, Mayor Clark. So bylaw 4865 to amend the gas utility bylaw was published in the Medicine Hat News on Saturday, November 29th and Saturday, December 6th in the public notices, and no written submissions were received.
Thank you very much. If there is anyone in the gallery who wishes to speak in support of bylaw 4864 to amend the gas utility bylaw, please come down to the podium. For a second time, if there's anyone who wishes to speak to bylaw 4865 to amend the gas utility bylaw, please come down to the podium, and there is no one online, so we don't need to use the raise hand function. Thank you very much. Third and final time, if there's anyone who wishes to speak in support of bylaw 4865 to amend the gas utility bylaw, please come down to the podium. If there's anyone in opposition who wishes to speak in opposition of bylaw 4865 to amend the gas utility bylaw, please come down to the podium. For a second time, if you wish to speak in opposition of bylaw 4865, please come down to the podium. For a third and final time, if you wish to speak in opposition, please come down to the podium. And I will give one last call out for anyone who wishes to speak, who does not feel like they have had an opportunity to do so in relation to bylaw 4865 to amend the gas utility bylaw. All right, seeing no speakers, presenters, are there any questions from council to administration regarding bylaw 4865? Seeing none, I hereby close the public hearing regarding bylaw 6865 at 7:43 p.m. We have next up business arising from the hearing. First reading, oh, sorry. Yeah, so that's business arising from the hearing? Oh. Yes, that's okay. First reading occurred of bylaw 4865 occurred on November 17th, 2025. So this bylaw is eligible for second reading.
I move that council give second reading to bylaw 4865.
I'll second that.
Mr. Cox, can you please say it into the mic?
Technology, yes, I'll second that motion, thank you.
Thank you very much. And you wish to speak to the bylaw?
I do. We heard staff's presentation. It covered both bylaws really in there when we were in the first public hearing. And I think we heard from opposed and their remarks are equally taken into consideration on this public hearing. And I want to reiterate what Councillor Clugston has already assured you, Mr. Reid, and that is that there is a serious issue with respect to the classes of commercial and how you move from one to another and what the rates should be for each. So this is something that we want to address very soon, and just reiterating that that is our intention to do so.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. Any other speakers? Not seeing any further speakers, we'll vote on second reading of Bylaw 4865. And that's unanimous. This bylaw is now eligible for third and final reading.
I move that council give third and final reading to bylaw 4865 to amend the gas utility bylaw.
I'll second it.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? Seeing no speakers, we'll vote on third and final reading of Bylaw 4865 to amend the gas utility bylaw. That's unanimous. And Bylaw 4865 to amend the gas utility bylaw is passed. And again, thank you to all the people who took the time to make presentations and speak tonight. We have unfinished business. It is business arising from closed session at item 10.1. This is the council appointments of members of the public to advisory boards and commissions. In order to confirm the vote, can I please have a motion to go into closed? And this would be, this would be under Section 20, disclosure harmful to personal privacy, and Section 22, confidential evaluations of the Access to Information Act.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion that we move into closed shortly for discussion of council appointments of public members to advisory boards and commissions per Section 20 and Section 22.
Oh, nice one. And can I get a,
I'll second it.
and your mic is on too, I guess.
is?
Yes, thank you.
I planned it.
All right, we will vote on that motion. All right, that's unanimous. We will move to L1, boardroom L1, and return when we are completed. Thank you. All right. Yeah. Can I please have a motion to go into open?
I will make a motion to go back into open.
Thank you, Councillor
I will
Reinish.
second that.
All right, we'll vote on the motion to go back into open. Councillor Clugston? And that's unanimous. Regarding item 10.1, I will ask that the city clerk read the vote, the results of the votes of the successful candidates into the record, and then I will ask the ALR chair to make a motion.
Thank you, Mayor Clark. So we'll start with Assessment Review Board. So the applicant that was awarded a 3-year term is Garth Rowe. For Community Vibrancy Advisory Board, we have Brooke Sadden for a 3-year term, Emily Connolly for a 3-year term, and Mary Tulip for a 1-year term. Next is Municipal Planning Commission. So Pamela Coons for a 3-year term, Robert Simpson for a 3-year term, and John Wilson for a 3-year term. Next is the Public Library Board. Emily Howe for a 3-year term, Adam Cook for a 3-year term, Sarah Bradley for a 1-year term. And lastly, we have the Subdivision and Development Appeal Board. So we have David LaFleur for a 3-year term and Aaron, oh goodness, sorry, Aaron. Thank you for a 3-year term.
All right, Councillor Young.
So I make a motion to accept those names into the record.
Yep, so you could move that council approves public member appointments to the designated advisory boards and commissions as discussed in closed session and read out by the city clerk.
Thank you, Mayor Clark. So I move that the council, oh, I can just say so moved. Thank you, Councillor Cox. Yeah, so moved.
All right. Seconder.
A second?
Thank you very much. Is there any discussion?
Just wanted to just publicly say, appreciate everyone who applied. There was a lot of great applicants, and appreciate council. This is why we had an extra week to go through this. Council just need a little bit of time, obviously important discussions. So thank you to council for taking the time to go through all of that.
Thank you, Councillor Young. We will vote on the motion. All right, so the motion to approve the public member appointments as read into the record is approved unanimously. And with that, I congratulate all the successful candidates and want to express my gratitude for all who applied. We truly appreciate your willingness to get involved in our community. I'm wondering, Councillor Vargas, so 10.2 and 11.1 are pertaining to the same thing. Do you have an interest in combining them, or would you like to do them one by one? Okay.
Just a point of clarification. Do we not usually move to destroy the ballots after a vote like this?
You are right. Councillor Clugston, would you like to make that motion?
So moved.
Thank you very much for the reminder. Seconder?
So move.
All right. So we will vote on the destruction of the ballots in relation to the public member appointments. Destruction.
Point of order.
Yes, sir.
Also include the recommendations of the AL.
Please, can you please turn on your mic?
I will learn. Can we include in that the destruction of the advice we received from AL and R committee, which we did receive in closed, and I thank them for their efforts, but does that, I guess if it's enclosed, and that's all it needs to be done?
That's right, and it would have formed part of the minutes of the ALR committee, which have been approved,
Closed meeting.
closed. So yes, there were no minutes, but I think generally speaking, we have just destroyed the ballots and not the
Okay.
record of
enough.
an ALR's discussions.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a mover and a seconder for the destruction of the ballots, and we will vote. That's unanimous. So Counselor Varga, in relation to 10.2, business arising from closed session, December 8, collective agreement ratification, and item 11.1, collective bargaining between the City of Medicine Hat and the Medicine Hat Police Association. Would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I would. The collective agreement between the City of Medicine Hat and Medicine Hat Police Association expired on December 31st, 2024. As a result of good faith effort made to renew the agreement, I move that the memorandum of agreement reached between the parties concerning a collective agreement for the term of January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2027, and providing, among other things, for the following general wage adjustment is hereby approved and ratified. 3.75% effective January 1st, 2025, 3.75% effective January 1st, 2026, and 3.5% effective January 1st, 2027.
And with, do you want to add the 11.1?
Operating reserves.
What's the 11 point, sorry?
11, motion regarding 11.1, that regarding the operating budget?
Okay, where is it? I don't have it, sorry. Okay. I move that council approve an operating budget amendment of $270,133 in 2025 and $606,168 in 2026, funded through operating reserves to fund the January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2027 collective agreement settlement between the City of Medicine Hat and the Medicine Hat Police Association.
Thank you very much, Counselor Varga. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Counselor Reinish. Any discussion? Counselor Cox?
First I have it off, and then you want it on, then I have it on, and I turn it off. Just to reiterate my point, I'm going to vote in favor of this, and I know why we have to do it this way, but I hope that we will look at funding these kind of predictable salary increases through some other mechanism than operating reserves. We seem to be going back there just a little too often, and it's time to build some of this stuff into the tax rate.
Thank you, Counselor Cox. Seeing no further speakers, we'll vote on the motion as presented on the screen regarding December 8th collective agreement ratification and collective bargaining between the City of Medicine Hat and the Medicine Hat Police Association. That passes unanimously, and I want to thank both the members of the Medicine Hat Police Association and city staff who are involved in the bargaining for their good faith efforts and hard work to come to this collective agreement settlement. The next item is 11.2, Interim City Manager. Councillor Young has a motion.
Yes, in relation to 11.2, interim city manager, I move that council authorizes the mayor to appoint an interim CAO effective January 1st, 2026 or earlier.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none. Oh, Councillor Cox. Thanks,
Thank you,
Chris.
Councillor Hellman. I'm well looked after. Now I forgot what I wanted to say. This is about the interim city manager. Just so that people are aware, We're not dismissing Ms. Azarud. Her appointment is coming to an end, and despite our best efforts, she has said, no, thank you, no more. I want to go back to being city clerk. And we're going to, well, we don't have any choice. She's going to do that. But we need to come up with a CAO, and we're trusting in the mayor's judgment to make that decision.
Thank you.
And while we're at it, I guess, thank you, Tara Lynn, because this is not an easy job, and you've handled it very well, and we're glad you were there. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. If I can, Mayor
Yeah,
Clark,
Councillor Young.
unless you wanted to just respond really quick to that.
You go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Cox, for that clarification. You're absolutely correct. Obviously, we understand as council how important this decision is. We understand, given the history over the last few years, that it is something that our city is looking at, I would say intensely, as well as everyone working with the city. We do have a committee that is working working a lot on this specific issue, and we're excited with some of the opportunities ahead of us. But in the meantime, we do need another interim CAO, and so we'll make sure that Mayor Clark appoints that on or before January 1st.
Thank you very much. We will vote on the motion. That's unanimous, and I too want to express my gratitude to Interim City Manager Azarud. It's not an easy task to do double duty, and I know that you've been working very hard, and so I thank you for that, and I also want to commend your team for pulling together and picking up any extra work that there might have been as a result of your absence, so thank you very much. Next up for first reading is Bylaw 4862, rezoning 1064 First Street Southwest.
I move that council give first reading to bylaw 4862, an application to rezone 1064 First Street Southwest from MU District to Residential Medium Density District.
I'll second that.
All right, this is just for first reading, so there's no debate, and so we will vote on first reading of Bylaw 4862. That's unanimous. Moving on to item 11.4, Bylaw 4866, rezoning 5366/5368, 5371/5373, and 5377/5379 Southlands Drive Southeast. This bylaw is for first reading.
I move the council give first reading to bylaw 4866, an application to rezone the parcels located at 5366, 5368, 5371, 5373, and 5377, and 5379 Southlands Drive Southeast. From residential low density district to residential medium density district.
I'll second that.
Thank you very much. This is for first reading, so no debate. We will vote on the motion to give first reading to bylaw 4866. Councillor Cluck, oh, there you go. Thank you. That's unanimous. Bylaw 11.5 is bylaw 4868, rezoning 308-310 Summerside Crescent Southeast.
So moved.
You,
Do I have to read it?
I apologize because I didn't say first reading, so the motion would be that council gives first reading to bylaw 4868, an application to rezone 308/310 Summerside Crescent southeast from RLD district to RMD district.
So moved.
All right. Seconder?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councillor Pfaff. We'll vote on first reading of this bylaw. That is unanimous. Next up is item 11.6, revised dates for council items. The city manager is bringing this forward. These are motions that have been made throughout the previous council's term that require extension, or that the administration is requesting extension on. City Manager Osrood.
Thank you, Your Worship. On page 253 is the request for decision. There is the bylaw 4661, the Community Vibrancy Advisory Board, requesting to revise the date to Q1 of '26. Public participation policy revised due date, revised due date, Q1 of '26. Urban hens revised as well to Q1. Procedure bylaw update section 4.7, Q1 as well. Whistleblower policy revised Q1 of '26, and the regional food and organics waste strategy revised to Q2 of '26.
I will accept a motion, but I have a bit of a comment before we do that. I'm just wanting to note that with respect to urban hens, the time when you usually get hens is like April, May, and so just want to make sure like the first 3 months of 2026 is kind of when we expect that will be coming. Can I get confirmation on that?
Yes, Your Worship, this will be coming before the end of Q1, correct? So.
Okay, I just wanted to, it does say that, I just wanted to make sure that the kind of timing was known, that there's a ticking clock there. just for getting
Administration,
chicks.
Your Worship, will endeavor to make sure it's completed by the end of Q1.
Awesome, thank you very much. And because there may be some implementation time there as well. So can I get a motion, please?
So move.
I didn't read the motion, so.
I'll read the motion.
Okay, thank you.
I move that council approve the revised reporting deadlines for the following previously adopted motion as follows. Bylaw 4661, Community Vibrancy Advisory Board, revised due date Q1 2026. Public Participation Policy, revised due date Q1 2026. Urban hens, revised due date Q1 2026. Procedure bylaw update to section 4.7, revised due date Q1 2026. Whistleblower policy, revised due date Q1 2026. Regional food and organics waste strategy, revised due date Q2 2026.
I'll second it.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? I do also want to add that we have been, council has requested that we have an agenda for the next 6 months to a year to allow council to better prepare for what's coming to council, and perhaps if there are things that we don't think need to come to council, then we can do that through the agenda committee. So we're looking forward to seeing the full schedule of anticipated council decision items. I see that there are a number of Q1 2026. So I'm hoping that there's not a ton of other things that are coming in that time period, but as usual, things also come up as we, kind of go through our lives. There will be other things that are coming up. Councillor Varga.
Thank you through the chair. I'm just wondering, maybe a question to staff, is that possible? That's one question, to have it done that way for 6 months. Because things appear and happen from month to month, so I'm just wondering if that's possible to have 6 months in advance. I know, reading, that was one of my questions that was in the other part where the inspection, where we have to have certain things done by certain periods of time, right? I was going to ask the question, is it possible that we get them done on time, and whether we're having any hiccups trying to make do with trying to get the answers for all those? So two questions in one, I guess. Is it possible?
So just for clarity, Councillor Varga, this was a discussion at Agenda Review Committee, and it is an attempt to balance council's workload as well as administration's workload, so that we can maybe edit out some things that we don't think need to come to council. And City Manager Osrud has committed to do that. I am not suggesting that emergent items would not be considered, but certainly we do want to have a bit of a plan for what we're doing over the next year. City Manager Osrud.
And the hope is that legislative timelines and deadlines would be on there. And there's always things that come up. So trying to ensure that we don't, like a tax rate bylaw needs to be done by a certain time, and those type of legislative deadlines. So that's the purpose of having it. And in regards to the municipal inspection, that will be coming back to council on January 5th.
Okay, enclosed or open? Both?
Closed.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Did you have a follow-up? Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we will vote on the motion as presented regarding the revised reporting deadlines for the listed motions. That is unanimous. There seeing no further business, I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of council to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas. No. A very Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year. And I hope everyone has a very gleeful and blessed holiday season. With that, any objections to adjourning? All right, seeing none, this meeting is adjourned at 8:22 p.m.